Welcome to Almanac North. I'm Maria Hewitt.
And I'm Brett Scott. Thank you for joining us. Tonight, we're learning about wildfire season here in the Northland.
We're also checking out a soap and perfume maker right here in Duluth.
That's all coming up, but first we're excited to introduce a new segment to the show, No Filter, an interview-based series with host Kristen Vaki. We'll let Kristen take it from here.
Hi, I'm Kristen Vaki, the host of No Filter on PBS North. No Filter is a conversational interview series that explores the rich tapestry of Northern life through quick, informal conversations with diverse, intriguing people from the region. I can't wait for you to meet the people that we've had the chance to interact with. You're going to find their stories heartwarming, engaging, inspiring, and really relatable. I'm so looking forward to introducing you to these folks, and we can't wait for you to join us.
Looks very exciting. We're excited for that series. Well, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will open the Poe Lock in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan early to marine traffic on March the 21st, launching the 2025 Great Lakes shipping season. The early opening, requested by the shipping industry, follows completion of essential winter maintenance. This will ease pressure on the Great Lakes navigation system, which faces an influx of vessels when the seaway opens the next day. The Soo Locks Visitor Center will open at 9 a.m. for the public, with the Facebook Live broadcast starting at 7:55 a.m. The MacArthur Lock remains closed until April.
More than 4 million Minnesotans rely on groundwater for drinking, with 1.1 million getting it from private wells. Wells can provide high-quality water, but they need regular maintenance. During National Groundwater Awareness Week, March 9th to the 15th, the Minnesota Department of Health reminds private well owners to test their water yearly. The most common contaminants are nitrate, coliform, bacteria, arsenic, lead, and manganese. Testing is the only way to know if your water is safe, especially for babies or pregnant individuals. Visit the Minnesota Department of Health website for more on testing, treatment options, and financial assistance to help with water treatment costs.
Next up this evening, we'll send you over to Denny's desk with Denny Anderson. Denny?
And thank you very much, Brett, and welcome now to Denny's desk. Well, spring in northern Minnesota is a time of renewal, but it doesn't always come quietly. As the snow melts and temperatures rise, nature wakes up, trees start to bud, and wildflowers push through the thawing ground. But this seasonal transition also brings challenges. One of the biggest? Water, or sometimes lack of it. A heavy snowpack followed by a sudden warm-up can send rivers over their banks, causing flooding that impacts roads, homes, and businesses. Ice jams can make matters worse, blocking water flow until they break apart, sometimes all at once. Now, on the other hand, if winter was light on snow or spring is drier than usual, we start worrying about drought. Without enough moisture, soil conditions suffer, trees and crops struggle, and wildfire risks increase, something we've seen all too often in recent years. Now, despite these challenges, nature finds a way. Trees, like our famous sugar maples, start drawing up sap for new growth, and that same sap that fuels our region's maple syrup tradition. Native wildflowers like trilliums and marsh marigolds bloom when conditions are just right. And pollinators, bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds return to help plenish and ensure that plants can reproduce and thrive. Spring here in the Northland is a delicate balance. It's a season of beauty, but also one that keeps us on our toes. Whether we are watching river levels, hoping for rain, or spotting the very first blooms in the woods, one thing's for sure, change is in the air. And this has been Denny's Desk. And now, Brett, back to you.
Denny, thank you. On this week's Making It Up North, we're sending you over to Mixed Cosmetics for a lesson on making your own soap.
Hi, I am Lene Rhodes. I own Mixed Cosmetics, which is a pretty unique business where I make custom organic makeup, skincare, and body care, and I also run workshops so people can learn how to make it with me. I stopped wearing makeup, stopped using skincare because I was allergic to so much stuff and couldn't figure out exactly what it was, tried all the products, and suddenly used a handmade bar of soap. It worked, and so I started using handmade soap. Thought, handmade, I like to make things. I wonder if I could make it. So I started making it myself, loved it, and then I thought, I wonder if I could make lotion. I wonder if I could make lip balm. Ooh, I wonder if I could make makeup, because the garbage in makeup that you don't want to put on your skin, there's a lot of ingredients in makeup. And so I learned how to make all of it. Soap is made by melting oils. We are pouring the lye water, so this is that really heavy alkaline, into our melted oils. And this is a base of coconut oil and olive oil, beeswax, which is local and kind of fun that we can have a local ingredient, and then mango butter and castor oil. So now you can see that we've got kind of an oil and water. They're not mixing. I'm gonna blend it a little bit. You can see it went from oil and water to this really lovely, creamy paste, almost like vanilla pudding. But we are not quite to trace yet. And trace is the soap word for it's fully become soap or saponified. So we're gonna blend it just a moment longer. And what I'm doing is checking to see if it has come to trace, to see if I can see a trace of the soap leaving marks on itself. And I think I am there after a few minutes of blending. So we're gonna set our blender down. So now I'm gonna put my scent in. This is a eucalyptus mint essential oil blend. So we are gonna pour that in. We are gonna stir it together. Oh, I wish you could smell this. Oh, it's so fresh and clean and beautiful. We're gonna put half of this back into this bowl, and it doesn't matter if it's exactly half, because we're just gonna do a swirl, and it will make such a pretty soap. So there we go. We've got about half of that in one bowl, and we are gonna do this lovely green in this bowl here. And this is a mixture of hydrated chromium and green clay. Clay is fantastic for helping to cleanse skin, get toxins, remove dirt and oil. So clay is a great additive to put in any kind of soap. And so stir until it turns a really pretty, even green. And soap is very yellow as you're making it. It actually looks really more yellow than you would want it to. And then as it cures, as it dries, as it gets ready to be used as soap, it turns a nice base white. So we're just gonna leave this one as our base white color. If people were in a workshop, I would be teaching them what the different colors do, how they work for their skin, what the different plant-based materials would do. So something like hydrated chromium gives you this beautiful green, but it doesn't really add anything. The clay is what brought a richer, kind of earthier green to it and gives the additive. So I just boosted up the pretty green color with a little bit of the hydrated chromium, which is a mineral that is used in makeup. This has thickened up quite a bit, which is great because we want it to hold this slightly looser green that we've got and make beautiful swirls in it. So I am going to pour in a swirl pattern right down into my soap. I am pouring in a swirl pattern. Oh, I got a few lumps, so I'm gonna smooth those out and then scrape that last bit of soap. So I'm gonna take it back through and just do a little swirl like this. And now It smells amazing. It looks amazing. We're gonna pour it in the mold here. And I just pour it right down the middle. And every single time the soap turns out different. And I can't wait to cut it because it is so exciting to see what's gonna happen when I pour this soap. So. And I love this last portion, creating this beautiful bar that we're gonna cut into about 25 pieces once it's done. And I feel really good about this top. I love how it looks and it's so swirly. And this is what it will look like when it is finished. So this will be the final product of this eucalyptus mint soap. And sometimes it's this darker green and sometimes it'll be a lighter green based on the clay and based on how it cures. So we'll know exactly what happens. In about a week is when we'll cut it and we'll find out exactly how it looks.
Our guest this week is Minnesota DNR Firewise Specialist Laura Murphy. Laura, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So are we in wildfire season? The snow's melted and here we are?
It's definitely started. As soon as the snow melts, it's kind of wildfire season in Minnesota. So.
I feel like we saw less snow this year, kind of like last year, but a little bit more this winter. Is it a heightened fire awareness season this spring?
I would say last year was kind of more heightened just because we had less snow, but it's kind of hard to tell because as soon as kind of the snow melted last year when we were kind of amped up to have an intense season, we got quite a bit of rain. And the same thing is maybe going to happen this year. You know, our snow has melted and even for the majority of the state there is no snow, but we are supposed to get some heavy rain I think this weekend.
What have you seen so far in terms of wildfires?
So far the state has had over 50 wildfires this year, and I would assume that it would only increase. On average we get about 1,580 or so fires a year, and they can be smaller or they could be larger. I think our total right now is over 500 acres for the year.
What are some of the most common causes that you're seeing for these wildfires?
Yeah, in Minnesota, 90% of fires are started by humans. A lot of that is from debris burning, pile burnings that kind of get out of control. So it's not, intentional. It just happens, potentially burning on not great days where you should have a fire. But yeah, a lot of it is debris burning. I think that's 40% or so of all the fires that escape in Minnesota.
So you have those accidental wildfires caused by humans, but then you also have prescribed burns, right? So how do you guys decide when and how, where to do those burns?
Yeah, so with the DNR, a lot of planning goes into kind of creating those burns. There's burn bosses that discuss things all winter, making plans, talking to all the other divisions. So a lot goes into it ahead of time, and it could be the day of the burn and they won't have the right conditions and they'll call it off. So it all kind of, there's a lot of planning behind it, and if they don't have the right, weather or whatever conditions, they'll scratch it and try to do it another day.
As a Firewise specialist, what is your daily routine like? What are you primarily doing?
I guess I don't have a super daily routine. It kind of changes with the season. And like in the springtime, I'll be helping out with my local area doing on the ground fire or aviation. And then kind of in the winter or I guess spring is kind of when cabin owners and people, start cleaning up their properties. So I get a lot of calls about like what people can do and different things like that. And again, in the winter, people are planning, and like homeowners associations or lake associations. I do a lot of meetings to kind of discuss what people can do in the future.
So being at home, looking around our yard, what are some things we can do to try and help prevent a wildfire scenario?
Yeah, so I always think of like the top 5, I guess, things that you can do to kind of make your home more resilient or more, I don't know, more resilient.
More resilient to
for fire.
Yeah.
For in case of like a catastrophic wildfire. So one of the things you can do is like cleaning out your gutters, your roof eaves. That is a huge place where embers catch. Is in those places. Mm-hmm. So just making sure your roof is free of debris, like needles, leaves, any kind of woody debris. So that's one of them. Another thing is back to the roofs and on the eaves is making sure you have like a barrier, like I think we say 1/8 inch wire mesh to cover all your eaves, your attic vents, even like if you have short, porches. I think it's, this high or more to kind of section those off with the wire mesh so embers don't get blown up in. Same kind of house maintenance. If you have loose shingles, broken windows kind of thing, embers get sucked into those places and can kind of, stay there until they get the right conditions to start. Keeping things 30 feet or more away from your home. That includes like wood piles, which I know like driving around, you'll see a lot of them that are closer than 30 feet to your home. It's just convenience-wise, and a lot of people have wood stoves or saunas. So to place those back a little bit further. A lot of people put like lumber they haven't used under their decks because it's a very convenient spot and it stays dry, but that's just an area that places will catch. And I guess one other thing is making fuel breaks. So instead of having things close up to your home like wood chips and plants that are highly flammable, to maybe do rock landscaping and other plants, like native plants that are maybe not as flammable as some of them.
All great tips, and hopefully one of these weekends, that's great spring cleaning to-do list.
Exactly.
Thank you, Laura, for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, for this week's Venture North, we're staying with Mixed Cosmetics, but taking a look at the fun classes and crafts they have to offer.
So Mixed Cosmetics, I originally started making soaps and lotions, teaching classes, selling at farmers markets, doing a lot of wholesale, selling to little boutiques across the nation. And I loved it, but I didn't love being at home by myself making products and shipping it out and then packing up for farmers markets. And then I started making the makeup portion of my business and discovered that it was hard to sell makeup at farmers markets, especially custom makeup, where I am making a color specifically for each customer. And so I thought, I really need a brick and mortar, I really need a retail space, and then I could have classes, I could have customers come in, I could make custom makeup, I could sort of do all the things I dreamed of doing. And so Mixed Cosmetics came about, the physical location, about 5 years ago. People kept asking, they would say, you know how to make soap? Could you teach at our community ed center? You know how to make soap? Would you run a workshop at the library? You know how to make lotion. Would you lead our women's group and just kind of show us what to do? And so I realized there was this demand, this huge demand for people that wanted to learn to make products and do fun things together, not just be at home watching a YouTube video making it. They wanted to be able to interact with others and see what they were doing, and then interact with a teacher that could answer questions right there on the fly that a YouTube video can't answer. And so there was this just enormous excitement around, we want to learn how to make these things. And I discovered that I loved teaching people how to do it, watching people make it, and this just aha of, I've never done this before, and I just made soap. I I just made lotion. I had no idea what went into it. And so watching people's faces light up is still, I've been doing it for 15, 16 years, and I still get so excited. And I do it like 5, 6 times a week, and I still just light up as much as they do. Oh my goodness, I have had so many fun things. So I have taught soap all over the world, and I was in Uganda at one point teaching some gals how to make soap, and realized that there was no running water and there was no electricity for the stoves. So we actually built a fire to melt our oils, and so we squatted around a fire and made soap. And I thought, this is how they did it thousands of years ago. So I'm actually getting to take part in the true tradition where there was no electricity, no running water. And so that was pretty memorable. And then watching kids, so I have a lot of kids that come in, and watching kids with no fear. Kids don't have any sort of anxiety or any kind of I don't know, walls they've built, fears they've built over the years. And so they just go full bore into it. Every single thing. They are just all in. If we're adding maybe makeup colorant to something, they add as much as they possibly can. They're like, all of it. And then we're putting scent in. We want all the scent. We want it to smell like all the flowers. And so just watching them go 100% is fun. One of the first things I say is have an idea, have a story or something that you want to create. Why are you creating this? Because if you don't know why you're creating it, well, everything smells good. I've got 225 extracts that I could use. I could just throw them all in there. They all smell yummy, but why? Am I creating it for something light and summery? Am I creating it to be sensual and to be just have that rich, exotic sort of scent? Am I reminding myself of a beach trip I went on 2 years ago? So why am I making this scent? Because that'll help me limit the scents that I put in there. And then start with that base note, start with that foundation basically. And then you're gonna get it wrong. You're gonna get it wrong a lot. It's gonna be wrong. And then you're gonna go, oh, this really worked. Oh, it was 10 drops instead of 8 drops. So just keep playing and trying and learning all of your different fragrance materials, and you'll be brilliant at it. It's not one of those things that you're just brilliant starting out. It's a lot of practice and time.
Well, before we go, let's take a look at what you might be up to this weekend. This Saturday, March the 15th, Safe Haven Shelter and Resource Center is partnering with Bent Paddle to help celebrate its 47th birthday with a cell phone drive. Attendees can bring their used or new phones, working or not, to Bent Paddle and receive a buy one, get one free pint card as a thank you. The cell phones will be refurbished and are intended to be used as 911 phones for people experiencing domestic violence. The night will feature live music from 6 to 9, as well as food partners, bowls, and things.
And finally, tonight, we want to remind you that we are in our March fundraiser, where you have a chance to support what happens here at PBS North. Public media allows us to create programs that are educational, entertaining, and engaging. And like this show, we get to take an in-depth look at what's happening in our communities.
When you tune in to PBS North, you're watching shows that are selected with this community in mind. And these shows are made possible through support by you. Giving is simple, whether online at pbsnorth.org or by calling 218-788-2844. Every donation is a direct investment in the programming that serves and connects neighborhoods across the Northland. And if you make your contribution right now, we'll have some great ways to say thank you.
When you support PBS North as a $7 monthly sustainer or by giving a one-time gift of $84, we'll say thank you with Duluth's Historic Parks by Tony Durkins. This book is filled with fascinating stories, historical photos, lithographs, and postcard images that showcase the city's extensive park system. Looking to venture into the great outdoors? When you make a sustaining contribution of $10 a month or a single gift of $120, we'll thank you with a Minnesota State Parks gift card, your ticket to explore all 66 of Minnesota state parks. Use it for camping, vehicle permits, or equipment rentals, and start your next adventure. And when you make a sustaining monthly contribution of $25 or $300 at once, we will thank you with the Almanac North Yeti stackable mug. This durable, stylish mug keeps your coffee hot or your drinks cold, perfect for wherever the day takes you. Whichever amount you choose and whichever thank you gift you select, the most important part is that you make your donation to ensure that PBS North remains strong. Do your part by calling 218-788-2844 or by giving online at pbsnorth.org. Thank you.
We want to personally thank you for supporting PBS North. It truly makes a difference and is appreciated.
It sure is. And you get to see, be with us every week.
That's
It's
right.
fun.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Good night.